Hello and welcome to Module 4, and this one we're going to be talking about soy. So this is a big topic in the plant-based world, and this is something that is often associated with plant-based eating, so I figured we should just cut to the chase and get to soy right off the bat because I know it's something that you want to know about, and it's something that most people talk about when it comes to plant-based foods, so we're going to do this. So first things first, soy is just a bean. It is a bean that's high in iron, calcium, magnesium. It's high in protein and high in fiber. And the form of soy that it basically starts out as is, I want to show you, I have some products here today, so this is extra good, is edamame. So this is basically a young soybean. This would have been picked from the pods, and edamame, you will see this in the program. It is basically a whole foods form of soy, and generally when we use this, we would be steaming it or cooking it in with like a stir fry, or it'd be in a dish where it would generally be cooked. You may find this in Japanese restaurants often with a little bit of salt on it. And this, if you're looking to buy some, you'll generally find it in the frozen vegetable section, either in the organic section or the regular veggie section. So this is our edamame, and it's a young soybean. Next up is the big one, tofu, and I actually brought two kinds today to show you because I think it's important to know that tofu does come in a variety of ranges. So here I've got a soft tofu or silken, as it might be known as. This is actually harder to come by. I don't often find in the grocery store these days, but this is often used for things like desserts. It's got sort of a pudding-ish texture, a little bit like yogurt. I don't use it very much. It's likely to not show up in the program, but I did want to show you, and it generally comes in a little bit of a plastic packaging because it's more delicate than, say, this guy, which is a firm tofu. I typically use firm or extra firm in my cooking. This is what you'll see the most of, and this is what we'll be talking about more and more. And of course, we will touch on this in the Facebook group and in future webinars, but this is our firm tofu. And when I talk about tofu, I often try to liken it to other things, and something that it reminds me of, and I guess it could be similar to, would be cheeses. So tofu is essentially like the cheese of the soy world. So it's kind of a soy cheese because it's basically the curds that come from curdling a soy milk, which I'll be showing you in just a second. So tofu, we're going to see a lot about this. We're going to talk a lot more about this. Of course, ask any questions because this can be slightly elusive to many people who have not used it growing up, and this might be a newer food. But I do love tofu. It's one of my faves. Another fave is tempeh. This is actually a fantastic food. This is a fermented version of basically, I'll say a fermented cousin of tofu. Essentially what it is whole soybeans that have been boiled, and then they've been added, some bacteria has been added to them to ferment it. So it's a much more digestible version. So if you have trouble with soy sometimes and find digestion may be an issue, tempeh might work better for you. Tempeh is very high in protein, just like tofu. It's actually quite high in protein. For 80 grams of tempeh, you're getting 16 grams of protein. So we will be using tempeh in the program as well. Generally though, when you're using tempeh, it does require a little bit more work than tofu. I often recommend steaming it before using it because it is a fermented food. It has sort of that bitter, fermenty flavor. So I definitely recommend steaming or maybe sauteing it quickly before adding sauces, but we will all, of course, get into this more as well. So that's our tempeh. Another important thing that I had to mention that we'll be seeing in the program, or you may choose to use in the program, would be soy milks. So for me, when I use soy milk, I always look for unsweetened. This is a big one. There's no need to have sugar added to your soy milk, so look for an unsweetened variety. This is nice and high in protein. I believe there's about 6 grams of protein per cup. So if you are looking to up the protein in your smoothie, maybe you choose soy milk over something like, say, almond milk, which doesn't have much protein, or oat milk. But yeah, this is a good one. So make sure you look for unsweetened. I've gotten duped a few times, bought the sweetened one, and it just tastes too sweet. But this is a good one too for using in coffees if you like a little bit of creaminess. It tends to hold up a little bit better too. So that's our soy milk. I just wanted to show a couple other things, and of course, feel free to ask questions throughout the program, but I did want to just show a few things here today to kind of get you inspired, get you thinking. Here's a couple other soy-based products. One of them is miso, and this is actually one that I got from a local farmer who grows their own soybeans, and they create their own miso. So miso is essentially a fermented soybean paste. A great condiment, adds lots of salty and umami flavor. and we will talk more about flavors as we go along in the program, but this is something I use as a condiment in salad dressings and sauces. It's just so flavorful and robust. This would be used in small amounts, not like say tofu and tempeh and soy milk. You don't need a lot of this for a lot of flavor. So it's something you will see more of later. I just wanted to show you that it generally comes in a glass jar. It looks like a little paste. Of course, ask me questions about this in the Facebook group, because I know this guy is also something that comes up a lot when people have questions about using foods. Miso, what's the best one? We can talk a lot more about that. And I actually found a really neat product. These are tofu noodles. So there's a lot of different tofu products out there, or soy-based products out there, but this is almost like tofu noodles, and a really high protein noodle option, to be gluten-free as well. So this is something you may see at your grocery store. I believe this is in Canada and in the US. Just something fun to share. A lot of soy-based products, or products that are, say, soy burgers, soy meats, they tend to have a lot of additional products or ingredients in the product list, and this one's pretty basic. I think it's just water, soybeans, yam flour, and calcium, and then a few other little ingredients in there. But when we are talking about using soy and soy-based products, I try to keep things that are as close as possible to, say, tofu, soy milk, tempeh, but of course you can always enjoy some other like faux meats, or soy-based products if you want, but tend to stick with the more whole foods-based ones like our edamame, our tofu, our tempeh, and even soy milk. And when you are shopping for these, try to look for, if you can, I believe we'll see on here, this is, I know it's an organic, so up here it says organic soy. I try to buy soy in organic form or in non-GMO. And to be honest, most human-grade soy-based products like edamame, tofu, tempeh, they are all non-GMO, if not organic. So it's not that hard to find. And I know there's another big question that many of you probably have. What about the estrogen in soy? I get this question all the time. So let me explain. Soy does not contain estrogen. Soy contains phytoestrogens. Phytoestrogens are actually weaker than estrogens and block the estrogen receptors in the body, and that's why they've been actually shown to prevent against estrogen-based cancers. If you're concerned about estrogen for any reason, it's best to avoid hormonally active foods like meats and dairy. And finally, I must mention that while soy is pretty much a powerhouse food, so many benefits to eating it, whether it's the nutrition, the protein content, or just that it's a super versatile food to use, it is not for everybody. Soy does fall into one of the top allergens, so if you are allergic to soy, stay away from it. Luckily, there are lots of other plant-based proteins that are available to you, so if you can't eat soy, it is all good. That's it for today. Thank you so much for joining me. Be sure to ask questions in the Facebook group or on upcoming webinars or even in office hours. I would love to discuss this further because I know soy is kind of a hot topic, but this is a great food for you to enjoy. It's a healthy food, and I hope you will discover more uses and learn to enjoy soy if you haven't in the past throughout the program. Have a great rest of your day.